On an absolute gorgeous day here in the Delaware Valley on a beautiful Monday, brand new daily ticket coming to you for the start of a brand new Philadelphia Sports Week. Sean Brace, Mark Henry Jr. rolling today. Of course, Mark can be heard every Saturday morning, Tough Cover Radio show, rolling at 11 a.m. A tremendous listen, a great way to start your Saturday wagering. And of course, we got the fine folks, Dick Girardi and Mike Kern, John Jansen, and Kyle Sonamaker, also live from Parks. A great Saturday full of programming here on The Gambler. And as I said, Mark leads the charge for us at 11 a.m. Mark, we got a lot to discuss, a busy week in front of us. Phillies, keep it rolling, looking good. Hush, hush from a lot of those loudmouths out there a couple weeks ago, but I'm not really seeing them have a take on the timeline these days. I am seeing your take, though. I believe yesterday before the victory, where Kyle Schwarber hit not one but two bombs yesterday. Wow. That first one, what a sound. What an absolute sound. I believe the win total for our Fightins would be 96, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's probably still right around there. I'll do a little quick math here. But yeah, I've been on and I feel justified kind of bringing this up as of late if we're starting with the Phils. Everybody was freaking out about the bullpen. Everybody wanted, to kill Dave Dombrowski for what he did this offseason. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I love the moves he made in terms of losing Hoffman, losing Estevez, only adding Romano. Maybe I would have asked for more. But I think when you simplified it and looked at what are the problems that could affect us in October, that's how I'm viewing everything. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I shouldn't overlook the regular season. But the way I see it is, I don't think this bullpen, even if we're saying it's average now or below average, I think now it's actually ranked a little above average in some metrics over the year. Since the last month, it's actually second in the NL behind the Giants in ERA in terms of the bullpen. But I don't think the bullpen is going to prevent anything we want to do in October. What I think could prevent what we want to do in October is not having enough guys like Kyle Schwarber who can put the ball out of the ballpark. And I mean, what Kyle Schwarber is doing feels even more heightened in importance because there's just no power on the rest of this team. And that's not to say that it's not a good lineup. It's probably still a top 10 lineup in baseball. It's just middling to below middling in terms of the power and in terms of being able to, turn a 4-1 game into a 4-4 game with one swing of the bat. And I think we, for years, have assumed this team's always going to mash. I mean, Rob Thompson always says we're going to slug and all those quotes. We have just become accustomed to this team hitting a ton of home runs. In the last couple of years, we've gotten to a point where it's, oh man, does everything have to be all or nothing? Can we have a couple guys who can hit for contact, a couple guys who can constantly, get a single when we need it? And now we're at a spot where I still think a lot of the fan base is like, oh, thank God we're actually getting singles now. And thankfully we're, getting on base and, stringing hits together and we're not going all for nothing, without recognizing what we've lost. And we've lost that power and we've lost that fear that we can strike into pitchers and that fear when it's, you're down 2 or 3 runs late in a game. Right now, I really do think you're getting by on the pitching rotation being the best in baseball, the bullpen being a lot better over the last month, and frankly, Kyle Schwarber. That really is what it comes down to. There's some bats who have stepped up at certain spots over this stretch, but where would we be without Kyle Schwarber?
This is a little bit similar to the Eagles. We will talk some Eagles. I do have a ticket, Kyle Schwarber, NL MVP. Does he have a chance in your mind, Mark Henry Jr.?
Unfortunately, the nerds care too much about WAR. And it's actually funny. I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine. Kyle Schwarber, if he continued at the pace of home runs that he's been hitting in his Phillies era, he could, if he plays 8-9 years, he could challenge 500. It's not likely. It's not likely. He's already low 30s, and you look at the rest of his career.
500 Hall of Fame.
That's the interesting part. He would really be testing that milestone because he has like 15 career WAR. Like usually, there. I forget the exact number. Is it 80? I think it might be 80 career WAR that generally is the modern benchmark of what you have to hit to get into the Hall of Fame. if Schwarber gets to 500, I think you can kiss that milestone goodbye, or kiss that benchmark goodbye. I think you have to put in someone if they hit 500.
Yeah, there's 28 players that have hit 500 or more home runs.
And
I'd be shocked if not. Well, yeah,
steroids.
okay. Yeah, A-Rod's not in it.
Sorry. Well, a lot of them actually.
Yeah, Barry Bonds is
A-Rod,
here,
Bonds,
right?
Sosa, Palmeiro.
There goes that discussion. Rafael Palmeiro.
Which, by the way, not to get into this, and I don't want to get into this. It's why it's so stupid that the steroid guys aren't in. We're just erasing baseball history.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get out of here. We can't talk about the 2000s. Didn't happen. Yada, yada, yada. It's like the NCAA saying, remember that title you saw in 2004? Yeah. You didn't see it. Didn't happen.
Wait till Trump gets involved.
No,
I'll tell you what, we're gonna put all these guys. Yeah, it's stupid. Anyways, yeah, look, Schwarber has been ripping the cover off the baseball. Every time he steps to the dish, you feel like he could hit a home run. And those pops, it's something that, like, that's PTSD side, area for those pitchers, right? Like the way that crack of the bat, it's still in my mind. I woke up this morning still thinking that I'm hearing it. It was just an incredible home run to get the party started yesterday. Yeah. A couple more on the Phillies here. We'll talk a little bit about what they have coming up here. Got you for the full 40 here with Mark Henry Jr. coming up. We'll talk a bunch of NBA with Sam Ostry and Sean Bernard. They went live earlier today talking about things picks and roll. And we got a lot to discuss as far as the NBA playoffs are concerned. But Phillies top of the page here. And we look back at what took place at the end of April, specifically that 3-game series against the Mets in Queens where they got swept. And that's when the panic kicked in. But at the same time, forget the panic. Like, I'll just speak from my standpoint. Like, it was disappointing. It was disappointing, the fight. I get it was April, but it was just disappointing to look up at the standings, and I believe they were 500. I don't think they ever got to under 500. I think it was 500. It's just like, come on, man. You're a better baseball team than 500. I don't care how early it is in the season. Let's go. If you're a championship caliber ball club, like, you're not 500. Miss me with that. And all they have done since then, Mark Henry Jr., is win 11 of 14, I believe. Yeah, 11 of 14 since they have fallen to 500 back on April the 25th. So here we are. Team looks good. And there's just a lot to like when a team goes out there, no matter the opponent, and they slug and win games. And you saw that against the Guardians, who, oh, by the way, the Guardians are a pretty good team. Look, I know they have their deficiencies, their flaws, all that, but just take a look at their record. Pretty good team, pretty good start. And you're going into their area where or their ballpark where that's a temperature. You want to check the temperature on your season, on your team. That's where you want to gauge how good you are. And the Phillies just went in there and rolled. So nice victory again last night by the Fightins. We'll take a look at the card coming up here. We'll talk a little bit more about what Mark's take is overall big picture, but they do return home. And now Christopher Sanchez on the mound against St. Louis, and Christopher Sanchez right now on DraftKings Sportsbook -170. What else stood out to you from the weekend from the Phillies perspective? Full disclosure, I was front and center all week long, just dialed so into the Truist Championship. I know you looked the part, but I know you were not like us, transfusion deep, enjoying the golf, as they say. And what a scene, what an absolute scene it was there at the Philadelphia Cricket Club. Did you actually tune in? Did you watch any of it on TV?
No.
Oh,
but
it's gorgeous, though.
I was
gorgeous.
A busy man this weekend. I was super, super busy. So I barely even got eyes on the sports I watched. So,
gotcha.
Mother's Day, all that jazz.
Oh, yeah.
But
and I know that we can't do anything about the timing, but I do want to say that's unfortunate, because when you tuned in yesterday to watch it on TV, the crowds were light, and it's understood. It was Mother's Day. God bless the people that could make it. God bless the women, the ladies, the mothers that said, let's go. But it was very light, and that was unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it was a great showing by the Philadelphia Cricket Club, great showing by Gap, Philly here. Everybody, the volunteers, just the PGA Tour rolling out the red carpet. Man, what a scene it was. And watching it on television after being there, it gives you a different view too. So I thought it looked so crisp, so great. But it was unfortunate that the final day did take place on Mother's Day. Couldn't make it either.
I would say, like, it's hard to have any huge takeaways from the series because they scored so few runs. Only 3 runs in the one win. It wasn't like the other win was a high scoring game. I will say, I think Trey, he's hitting over 300 over a pretty long stretch.
Trade him.
Point. Trade him.
Trade him.
You want to? Oh, you're being sarcastic.
Yeah, well, there was a blowhard on WIP a couple weeks ago that was like, I've had enough with them. Get rid of it. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, and he's frustrating. I mean, Trey is frustrating. He's not what we
don't trade him though.
Yeah, of course. He's not what we brought him here to be, but I do think people get lost in the sight. I mean, this is a guy who almost hit 300 last year, would have hit probably 25 homers, 25 steals if he played the full season. Here he is hitting 310 so far. He already has 9 steals. The homers have been down. The slugging's been down. Now, Topper came out and said that at the beginning of the year, he kind of told him that he wanted him to hit 300, wanted him to have a 370 OBP, didn't care if he hit 10 homers, wanted him to have 40 steals, or he had all these benchmarks, and he was kind of saying how he wanted him to be a prototypical leadoff contact hitter and saying, if the homers will take care of themselves and that'll add to it when they come. I'd like 20. Like I'd like to see 20 plus homers from Trey. Only has 2 so far. Did hit 1 against Tampa. Barely missed 1 against Cleveland, and I think hit a deep double as well. I think that the power swing is starting to come back a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's incredibly streaky, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised if we get that. And I wouldn't say he's been cold. He's been hot, but just from a context standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if we get that kind of 1-2 week stretch where he hits 4 or 5 homers and kind of really, really starts to be a little bit of a power hitter, different than what we've seen so far this year.
All right. We're a little all over the place to start here, but that's all right. It's a Monday. I didn't see this. Full disclosure, I had to remove the Twitter machine from the phone. I had to. It took a little too much of the mental and
is it back now?
No, I brought it back for Truist. I got rid. Yep. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, Mark. It's just not. The engagement isn't there, and I'm getting, stuff that I don't care. Like I can't do anything about all on my timeline. So now I'm on Threads, and Threads is pretty good. Again, just information only. That's the only thing good about Twitter is the information only. And Threads has a pretty good thing going. Like it's filling the void very slowly but surely. So there's some good sports follows, good rumors, good updates, all of that. And, a little less cesspool-ish if I could, even though like NBC, I follow ABC News, excuse me, and they can't help themselves. Like, it's just like, I don't care. I just tell me when 20,
I think you just need to start muting words on the timeline.
That probably would help too.
That's a big thing for me. Golf and soccer, get out of my timeline.
That takes a lot of effort, though. I don't want to work. I just want to get on my phone and scroll.
I'll tell you what. I think it's really improved my Twitter experience. Okay. I'm a huge muter of words, even if it's for a weekend. If I'm done hearing about when the Celtics won the title last year, I don't want a week long of people.
How many words do you have deleted?
Let's pull it up.
How many words? Oh, let's go down the words if you wouldn't mind. Share.
I'll do it.
I love it.
Some I keep to myself.
How many is the total? What's the total?
41.
Okay, I probably have 2. I think I did Tucker Carlson. And
he's on there for me as well.
Yeah, I did something else like years ago.
I'll read it down. And some of them I don't even know why I have these now. But The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Four Nations. 4 Nations is on there.
You're so evil. You're so evil.
Angel Reese, Bachelor again. Bachelorette again.
Why does that bother you? So where are you getting that from?
The problem is I'm a big reality TV guy. So I follow a lot of the challenge accounts, a lot of the Big Brother stuff, and the algorithm will give me Bachelorette stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I watch trash TV, but not that particular brand of trash TV.
Got it.
Banner. Don't know why Banner is muted on my timeline. Maybe
Banner?
No, I don't know. Just I think the word banner.
Banner. Okay.
BTS, the singing group. I got that out of my timeline. Don't know why. At some point that bothered me. Bundesliga.
Wow. I can't even spell Bundesliga, and you got it deleted. Okay.
Caitlin Clark. Canada.
Oh, see, like you're an equal opportunist there. Angel
I
Reese
think the
and Caitlin
conversation
Clark.
got way too volatile on both sides, and I think
like that.
I'm done with hearing about it. And that's disrespectful to women in some capacity, maybe, but I think it got. I think it became. I think it got past.
That's what Twitter did. Twitter did that. That.
That's fair. My answer was, get out of here. That's kind of. I don't need any more of it.
I like
Champions League.
Man,
club.
Come on, dude. Champions League is great.
EPL.
The best of the world.
Four nations, but with 4 spelled out instead of the number. Golf. Just a broad golf. is
Jesus.
Hockey, which is I've been betting on a lot of hockey. That's a bad job by me. Kid Rock made its way to the mute list. K-pop. Good. Luke Bryan, Luke Combs, both made it on there.
Wow.
McDavid made it on there.
Oh, dude, Connor, come on.
Morgan Wallen made it on there.
Yeah.
This is one that's actually interesting. I didn't know this. Nola is muted on my timeline, which I feel like that's actually made it through. I feel like I see a ton of Aaron Nola tweets, so I don't know. Maybe this is a wrong. Olympian, Olympics, the Olympics, all muted.
Didn't care. Okay, no Olympics for you.
PGA, soccer, Spieth, The Bachelor again. Toby Keith, USA. Don't know what that is.
Wait. I'm just going to stop you here because this is what I'm gathering. You hate golf. You hate hockey. You hate country music.
Yeah.
And since you did, do you hate USA?
Apparently I hate the country. I don't know. WNBA is on there. Zach Brown Band is on there, and Zach Bryan.
Zach Brown Band, dude. Zach Brown's great.
Country music.
Oh, Zach Brown's great.
I like Homegrown, the song they play on College Game Day. Good song by Zach Brown Band.
Zach's got he's country. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not, but he's got a Buffett vibe. He's got like a fun party vibe. There's like 3 or 4 really good.
I like Buffett.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 really good songs by him that I would definitely recommend. All right. Fun trip.
That was a little waste of time there. My bad.
Yeah, it's good. No, I like it. I maybe need to take a page out of your book and get rid of it because it got me. It got me like 2 weeks ago where I was like, dude, it was the Shedeur Sanders nonsense. It was that plus the politics, plus this, and I just said, dude, I'm tweeting, and the only people that are responding is you and Ryan Beef Coyle, and that's it. Like, it's just like, all right, what am I doing here? Like, you know what? Move on to a different. And that was another thing, too, because I'm like, if I delete this, then it will force me to use something else. And therefore, maybe I can get something going there. So far, Threads has been it. Threads has been good. I've been getting good responses, going back and forth with a few people. And again, it's off of Instagram. So whatever. Anyways, moving on.
You're going to be you're Picone is Blue Sky's biggest cheerleader on the planet. And you're Mr. Threads now.
Yeah, okay? Dude, when I'm gone this week, can you guys please just upload every video to the Dropbox folder? Just please. That's all I'm asking. Just please, for crying out loud. I kid. All right, let's keep it moving again. Yeah, Mark, Luke, check it in. Things Mark say.
All right.
Yeah. We got it already. We got it. Moving on. Let's talk about the Eagles, Mark. Opening up the season against the Dallas Cowboys. Look, there's a lot. Is there anything not to like? I would just, the first thing that went through my mind was, should win that game. Better win that game. And, oh, by the way, a banner will be dropped and Dallas will be in attendance. I think that's pretty funny. But back to better win that football game. Has Dallas, they've made a lot of changes this offseason. Is there anything that's pushing you, making you sway that they're going to be better this year?
No. I think it's going to be a train wreck season for Dallas. I don't think they did nearly enough in terms of addressing their problems. I don't know what their plan is at running back. Not that I'm telling you running back is the end all be all of anything, but I think they have really, really hamstrung Dak. over the last couple years. And I think his kind of reputation has suffered for it. I think we're at the point where I think the casual NFL fan thinks Dak sucks, or thinks Dak is like below average, maybe even average at best. I think that's probably unfair. I think he's probably a fringe top 10-ish guy. Like, he's probably the 10th, 11th, 12th best quarterback. And I think besides CeeDee Lamb, he's had nothing on that offense over the last couple of years. Now, they went out and they got George Pickens. I like that move. I do think, like, from what they gave up, I think it's a risk worth taking. I think you're not trying to, you don't have Super Bowl aspirations this year necessarily anyway. So the risk of bringing a Pickens guy type in on a contract year who maybe could derail some stuff in the locker room, I think you're probably less worried about that if you're Dallas, because, you probably have a win total of 7.5-ish anyway this year. So I think they're a team that made a head coach hire that is one of the most shocking I've seen in the last decade of Brian Schottenheimer, in terms of just being a total journeyman who Jerry thinks he can keep under his thumb. I can't believe that was the move to move on from McCarthy. The guy they took at 12 overall was the only guy taken in the top 80 of the NFL draft who had a relative athletic score of under 4. Now, he's an interior offensive lineman, but so his athleticism doesn't matter that much. But to me, if you're going to take an interior offensive lineman with a relative athletic score that low, that high, he better be the best interior offensive lineman you've ever evaluated. And I don't think Tyler Booker was that. They took a guy who me and Shane Haff both had outside our top 40 at 12 overall, when there was plenty of guys on the board, when I think they should have really been aggressive in trying to move up for a Tet McMillan, move up for an Ashton Genty, maybe even move a little back and take an Omarion Hampton. I really just don't think there's enough talent on either side of the ball. I'm actually doing something fun. My pod, I'll be doing about like 40 minutes with Shane Haff. Every year we put together an expansion team. So we act like there's a 33rd team, and we go through all 32 teams and we protect 5 offensive players, 5 defensive players, and 1 wild card. So each team gets to protect 11 guys that our hypothetical expansion team can't draft. So we get to pick from the rest of the NFL. And you really kind of, when we do this exercise and you evaluate these rosters and try to find your top 5, your top 10, top 11 guys, you really start to see which rosters just don't have that much talent. And I'd put Dallas on that list. I think they're a 5-6-ish win roster.
Yeah, look, we know about CD, we know about Dak. To your point, like, people do undervalue Dak. He has been his own worst enemy at times, but I'm a fan of Dak. He puts up numbers constantly and hasn't had much to work with, if we're honest with our assessment. I'm curious though, what is your thoughts on Joe Milton? Do you like, if his number is called upon, and then give him an opportunity, give him a spot that maybe surrounds him a little bit better? What is your thoughts on Joe Milton, the quarterback?
I think we've talked about this before. I think he's a backup. He's just a guy who's so talented, so athletic, but he's a guy who throws it 100 miles per hour, 60 yards down the field, and throws it 100 miles per hour, 5 yards down the field. There's not a lot of touch, not a lot of like instinct on how to play the position. I think if he wasn't going to get any like takers coming after last year from a team like Cleveland or one of these teams that was desperate and not drafting a quarterback, I think that was probably his chance if he ever was going to have one to find a spot. And there wasn't a lot of interest outside of, Dallas bringing him in to be a backup. So, yeah, I think if Dak goes down, they're screwed as always, which is kind of like the Dallas story of the, Dak's career. He has missed some time.
Yes, he has.
He's definitely, so if you want to knock him for that when we're talking about these conversations, that's fair. But if he's out there, I still don't think they're an 8-win team. Like, if he plays the full season, I think they win 6-7 games. That's how low I am on this Dallas team. I actually don't think 6.5, or it's set, I guess 6.5. It's -7. I don't think that's enough points for week 1.
All right, week 1. We do have touchdown props.
Let's wait and see the tush push news for Jalen. -130. If there's no tush push, you'd have to.
-115. Money coming in.
Coming in,
-115 right now. Anytime touchdown score. Saquon Barkley -205 to find the end zone in game 1. This is insane to be looking at here on May the 12th, but it's fun. It is getting the juices going. 7-point spread, 46.5. We open up the season, all eyes on us, and we're taking on the Cowboys, who, oh, by the way, again, are going to be in the building when we drop the banner. That is just insane. I
Beautiful.
love it. Can't wait for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. First things first, though, let's enjoy summer. Okay. What do you say about that? All right. Let's keep it moving from the world of the NFL over now to let's talk some NBA. And I know that we do have some games that are taking place, but from the 76ers standpoint, let's waste some time here for a second and talk about the NBA draft lottery that they're not going to win and probably are going to what? Get 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know. I have it in front of me. The Jazz, Wizards, and Hornets have the best shot at 14% at landing number 1 overall pick, followed by Pelicans 12.5, Sixers 10.5, Nets 9, 7.5. I don't know. Like I want to believe Cooper's he's the real deal, but I would rather start talking about the other players. But we got time. We'll see what happens. Gotta be optimist. I'm with it. Have some fun with it. But it is going down tonight. I believe that is the halftime, I want to say, or is it pregame? Pregame. Celtics and Knicks, which is a pretty big game. Game 4 being played in Madison Square Garden. That goes off 7:35. So are you sure about that? We're going to have the pregame?
Yeah. That's always how it is. It goes before the first game. Believe me, I'm a lottery veteran in terms of the Sixers in that process era. I'll be with Sean Bernard and Sam Ostry tonight at an unnamed lottery event. But so
they do it right. They do it right. I'm
not a fan anymore. I used to be. My buddies got tickets, and
nice.
Were
tickets free?
No.
Wow.
But going with some, never been to Franklin Music Hall before. So
how much were tickets?
I think it was like 30.
Wow. God. To watch them.
It's really, I look at it as like you're getting together with, hundreds of Sixers fans for the opportunity. If they do get one, you're celebrating with hundreds of people and you're part of fun videos. And I will say, and it's funny to look back on now, being in the building when they got Ben Simmons, or when they got the number 1 pick for Ben Simmons, that at the time, it was one of my favorite sporting moments of my life, getting that number 1 pick. And, that's what followed is a whole other conversation. But same with when the picks swapped, when the picks swapped and we ended up getting that 3rd pick, and then you use that to trade up for Markelle Fultz, so it doesn't work out in the end. But I look at it as I don't listen to the podcast anymore, but I look at it as kind of getting together with a bunch of Sixers fans on the chance that something good happens. But to me, it's so funny. For weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been obsessing, Cooper Flag, 10.5%. We've got a chance, the 5th best chance. We're right there. If anyone's got a chance, we've got a chance. And now all I'm telling myself is
ain't gonna happen.
Don't lose the pick. Do not.
Oh.
Do not let this pick fall to 7 or 8, or else burn the arena to the ground. I don't care if the Flyers play there. It's over. The franchise is done if this pick doesn't convey. You cannot go through the season we just went through and not get a lottery pick for it. You cannot give that pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
No, I'm with you. That would be a kick in the groin, big time, even worse than that. But you were originally talking yourself into believing that they could. I guess
they still. I don't believe it's rigged. I believe it's a legitimate lottery.
Man, I don't know anymore.
You don't know
if it's rigged. Where's he going?
I think Brooklyn.
Jazz, Wizards, Hornets, top 3. Yeah,
I don't think it's rigged for them.
I would see DC, if anything.
Yeah, maybe if you want to try to save basketball in a big market, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I could see Brooklyn. DC getting it for rigged purposes, but I was never one of those guys. But man, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's
who's the rigged one recently though? Do you think they wanted Wemby in San Antonio? Do you think they wanted Zion in New Orleans?
Well, what happened was when LeBron came out and said it himself on McAfee. It was like, all right,
what did he say?
I was in Cleveland, and I'm paraphrasing.
But he said 03 was rigged for Cleveland. I believe so. If you're gonna convince me that it's rigged, you could convince me that they might rig it in really special circumstances. Ewing in 85 to go to New York, LeBron to stay home in Cleveland. Yeah, maybe Cooper Flag. It would be on that list. And by the way, one that the most annoying possibility, and one that I think the NBA actually wouldn't be mad about, is if Cooper Flag, our American, our hope, finally we've got an American who could be one of the best players, and he goes to Toronto. You have to send our American export to Canada, and he's not even playing in the United States. That would be a real kick to the nuts.
Sean Bernard saying San Antonio if it's rigged.
I get what he's saying to put Wemby and Flag together. I don't think the NBA wants two of their most marketable stars in San Antonio, Texas. As someone who was just in San Antonio, Texas, I don't think that's what the NBA wants.
Yeah, and you can't rig it like that. Like the Spurs aren't even listed.
They have two chances. No, they have two chances. They have the 8th chance and the 14th chance. So they have.
We got to be honest with our assessment about rigging it. Like you can't rig it to somebody that's on the backside. Like Cleveland, where were they at when LeBron was up in 03?
They're up at the top, but maybe you could rig it to someone in the middle. And San Antonio's at 8, 6. But I don't think they would rig it for San Antonio. I don't. I don't think they. I think they probably look at San Antonio like, you know what, they're gonna be fine. Like they've got Wemby. Like Nets, we don't need to give them Flag necessarily.
I would put the Nets above all.
I agree.
And then probably maybe DC or Toronto neck and neck, but it's got to be a special circumstance for them to rig it. I agree.
Who did Josh Harris meet with to resolve this whole arena situation to get them to stay in South Philly?
Silver.
Who came to town?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe.
Yeah, look, he is making moves. He is a politician, it feels like what he's doing down there in DC, what he continues to do in Philly. He's a big damn deal. Deep pockets for Josh Harris and company, but you would like to believe that they're really good owners, but then that report came out too, so they got to be better. Go ahead.
Sean Bernard says,
wow,
Rose. That is true. Chicago had the 12th chance, and by the way, tonight
went to Chicago
has the 12th chance. They have a 1.7% chance at Flag. Could it be rigged?
1.7, and they got Derrick Rose. I don't.
They have a 1.7 again tonight.
That's brutal. All right. Again, we'll see what happens. A ton to discuss as far as the lottery is concerned, and we will be hitting on all of that. Of course, Sean Bernard, Sam Ostry coming up next on the program here. So you'll hear what those guys have to say about that. And of course, you're going to be hearing them all week long on Picks and Roll. I will be handling some family business. So you're going to be looking for the Gambler Gang to be filling in a lot of the open spots on air and then some on socials. So be sure you're following. And of course, if you miss anything at foxphlgambler.com. Let's talk some action on the floor. I'm really excited to see the Celtics and Knicks game 4 tonight. 6.5 Boston, 208. Do or die, correct, for Boston?
Yeah, probably. I think if they lost it, I wouldn't say do or die. It just,
you think they can go down 3-1 and still win the series?
Yeah, I do. I don't think New York's very good. They've been losing for 95% of the series. They had a couple of good runs.
It's true.
I'm my best bet of the night, my favorite bet of the NBA playoffs so far, and my best bet of the NBA playoffs before this was the Celtics team total over in Game 3. I'm going back to the same well in Game 4. Celtics team total over 107.5. The way I looked at those first two losses is a lot different than a lot of people out there. They shot 25% from 3, and they lost those games. And everybody, from the mountaintops, they rely too much on the 3. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. Yep. I think the fact that they shot 25% and lost the game by 1 is kind of what justifies their plan. If they shot 26%, they won the game. Oh, yeah. To me, it actually made me even more confident in the Celtics are going to go win the NBA championship. I'll be honest.
Look, that one video that we put out, I stated that. So, like, people were trying to give me credit, and I appreciated that. But I was like, yeah, but I also said in that same clip that Boston wasn't going to lose the game because they make all their threes. Like, this is who they are. They're just they're an incredible team that has some great bodies, some really good star power. Now, don't get me wrong, Porzingis dealing with what he's got going on.
That's the only concern. That's the real concern. But yeah.
But the Boston, put them in the NBA Finals, and it's been a fun series. I will say that. So I'll give the Knicks a ton of credit for what they've been able to do, and they're fighting, and Brunson is struggling now, and they just got to find some offensive production from somebody other than Jalen Brunson, and I just don't know if that's going to be enough, even if that happens tonight. 6.5 odds makers there, telling you Boston tonight, and then we got the T-Wolves and Golden State Warriors, and that series has been ugly due to the fact that Steph Curry got injured, and that's a shame, man. To see Steph get hurt, I think it's the first time he's ever pulled a muscle too, I believe, in his career, and that's going to basically put an end to their season. Minnesota looks like they're the better squad here, a lot like the Pacers. So we could have a couple teams that made it to their conference championships last year, getting back to it. We'll see how it plays out, but it's been fun, man. The NBA playoffs have been hitting in a big way for me. I love it.
If Golden State can find a way tonight, they'll win the series.
True. You think without Steph? I think Steph's done for the series.
You think he's done? I think he's back for Game 6.
Okay.
At the latest. I think there's a chance he's back for Game 5. I think it's a 2-2 series. I think they might get Steph in Game 5.
Okay. I hope that is the case. That'd be great. What's the number?
It's only 5 tonight. It's only 5.
Yeah, but series meant from the series.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have that up here.
T-Wolves are minus 800. Golden State plus 550. That's a good play if you are thinking that Mark Henry Jr. is right.
No, the problem is I like Minnesota tonight. I do think Minnesota, but I think Minnesota probably puts it on them. But the interesting part about the series is Game 1, Steph's missing after the first, 15 minutes of that game. Golden State goes and wins by 11. Game 3 was a great game. Game 3 was really competitive, a really fun game. Minnesota only won by 5, and really close game the whole way. And props to Golden State for keeping it. Game 2, they got blown out, whatever. I think that was natural. Golden State won Game 1. There was no Steph Curry. I'm not going to get on them for losing Game 2 and getting blown out. But Game 1 and Game 3, you have to be impressed with what Golden State's done. But I think we probably get more of a Game 2 vibe. I think Golden State had their chance there in Game 3 to steal one without Steph, and I think it's more likely Minnesota puts it on them. So it's interesting for both. I liked Celtics minus 6.5. I went with the team total over instead at 107.5. I'm kind of doing the same thing here. Instead of going Timberwolves minus 5, I'm going Timberwolves team total over 102.5. Because we saw when they even hit below their average amount of threes, they hit 117 in Game 2. Now, I know they scored 102 in Game 3. I felt like they left a lot on the table there in Game 3, and they still hit 102. So they just need one more point than they scored in Game 3. The foul game hopefully helps a little bit more at the end of the game. Did you see the one video of Draymond saying looked like 5.5 to his teammates? It's interesting because they did. I was a little annoyed. I had over 200.5. They hit 199 with that 3 that Golden State hit with like 8 seconds left, and they didn't foul down 5. You don't see a lot of down 5 with 8 seconds left non-fouling situations in the playoffs, but I digress.
That one definitely hit me, and I think the NBA has a little bit of a situation on their hands if they were honest about it, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's definitely a phone call I'm making to Draymond, like, yo, what is going on? We can't be doing that, but it looked like he was saying that.
He did. I'm a Draymond defender, but man, why are you crossing over into this now, Draymond? Like, stay in the lane of being, the guy who plays on the line, and we get the controversy every series about whatever fight he got in. Now we got gambling involved, and geez.
They know the numbers. They know the numbers, especially when it's a playoff game. There's 2 games going on. Maybe not game 65 when there's a full slate of games. But when there's 2 games, 2 playoff games, and they got all day to sit around and nothing but going on and who's saying what? Oh, we're 5.5-point favorites? Interesting. Yeah, I'm sure Draymond's got some sort of sports gambling, sponsorship on his podcast. If not, he will as soon as he's done playing. We know that's 100%. All right, Mark, great stuff, dude. A final take on the Phillies tonight, taking on the Cardinals. The gentleman that they are facing is a lefty. He was a reliever. He had 60 appearances last year. So far, he's got 7 starts, 3.3 on the season, 3.07 ERA. Matthew Liberatore.
Yeah.
Liberatore, sorry.
I like Liberatore. I'm scared of the bats tonight. I think there's a chance in general that the next 2 nights might be tough for the bats in terms of Liberatore tonight and then really Sonny Gray tomorrow. But you got to feel good about the arms on the mound. You got Sanchez tonight. Then you got Luzardo on Tuesday. Wednesday is where I think might be more of an over game. It's a 1:00 game on Wednesday. I haven't looked at the weather But that's going to be, I'm sure, a nice day. You got Nola on the mound for us, who can go either way. Even when he pitches well, he can have a meltdown 6th inning and it ends up giving up 4 runs. And Eric Fetty, who has been a little better recently, but I'm not a big Eric Fetty guy. I think these next 2 nights are going to be grind them out slow. Maybe look at the under, but grind them out slow, kind of 3-2, 4-3 type games, and be swung by. If we can find a little power, find a homer from Schwarber, maybe Bryce hits a couple, maybe what I mentioned earlier with Trey, kind of finding this power swing a little bit. It's going to come down to that these next 2 nights. But St. Louis's offense, I'm not afraid that St. Louis offense is going to do much damage. The bats have to show up.
Agreement there. Enjoy the party tonight. Let's go Sixers. Let's get ourselves a Cooper flag. Of course, a couple victories on the NBA hardwood. The Phillies back at home taking on the Cardinals. Sanchez on the mound. So looking forward to watching that. And the sports carousel rolls on. We even mentioned the Philadelphia Eagles. We even got some golfing. Do you have a hockey take? Come on, man. We need a hockey play for tonight.
Yeah, I think I'm like 14. I think I'm 15-10 now in the hockey playoffs. So I've been humming along, and I've been finding plus signs. I'm going back to it tonight. Give me the Capitals plus 225. Sean Brace. Maybe even I didn't see this until now. I think I'm going to sprinkle on plus 1.5 as well. I'm going to sprinkle in there on plus 1.5 at minus 115. Carolina blew out Washington in Game 3, but in the first 2 games, Washington was up in terms of goal differential. And we're talking about plus 225. Are you kidding me? Give me the Capitals. Ovechkin, I'm riding with Putin here.
2-1 Canes up in that series, correct?
Yeah, 2-1 Canes right now.
All right. Excellent stuff.
I would lean Oilers also. Lean Oilers later on.
Oh, nice. I love it. See, we hit it all. The sports carousel rolls on next with Picks and Roll, Sam Ostreet and Sean Bernard coming your way. Mark Henry Jr., always a great time, sir. Be sure to follow him on all things socials. We'll catch up later this week. Everybody, don't touch that dial. Keep it locked right here to The Gambler. Good luck on those plays.